There we go. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to London DevOps, meetup number 62. I think the 13th one that we've done online, no, 12th online, because the last one we did for real was number 50. And even I can do that sort of maths, even on a hot, sunny day in London like it is today. So yes, as I said, thank you very much for coming along. We've got what will probably be a bit of an end of term style meetup. As we know, it's warm in London, 28 degrees last time I looked. Yeah, football's on tonight. And the last thing lots of us want to be doing is being on a Zoom call late into the evening. But we're going to go for it. We've got a great talk lined up today and a panel session. Let's go. Sorry, I'm just pressing the wrong buttons on Zoom here. There we go. Sorry, guys, is my share working okay at the moment?
I can still only see the introduction one.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right. So let me do that. And we go on to slide 2.
There you go.
Slide 2. Yep, brilliant. Sorry, my screen's showing resume share as a button, which isn't quite right, but there we go. Anyway, so here's the definition of DevOps. This is why we're here. We're here to basically advocate a culture where people can work together to imagine, develop, deploy, and operate a system. Thanks to Ken, who came up with that from ThoughtWorks. Or maybe DevOps means this, from John Vincent. And to a lot of people, DevOps means culture. So we're here to cover kind of the whole gamut of DevOps, from the tools, through the culture, the people, process elements, all of those sort of things, where we try to go. Thanks to all our new viewers here. For all those who have been on before, you'll know I'll go through these same slides more or less every month, but we've still got lots of new people in today. So we're going to go through these briefly, just so we know why we're here. DevOps might be like that for you, lots and lots of tools. Maybe it's a world you're very happy in with lots and lots of tools to run. I personally a bit more of the people and process side of things, but we try to cover all varieties of DevOps for everyone. So this is London DevOps. The group's here for basically for 3 reasons fundamentally. It's a meetup. The meetup has been going since 2014. When Mark picked up the group and made it something awesome. We're still going 61.5 meetups later. The idea is to share knowledge, meet new people, and help each other out. As I said, we did this from mid 2014 through till I think February 2020 was the last one that we did in real life. We've been online on Zoom ever since then. It's not quite the same. We often find that when we do the meetups, it's the small conversations at the sides, meeting up in a social situation with colleagues and like-minded people is an awesome thing to do. Not quite the same over Zoom, as we know, but we're still going ahead with it, and we're still doing some really, really good meetups. We've had some really good ones in the last few months, and I'm sure this one will be no exception. So yeah, that's what we're here to do. Again, if you are new, if you're not even from the London area, then welcome. Thank you for coming along. We're going to try and get the physical meetups going again, probably in the autumn, as long as regulations and our general gut feeling allows for that. So yeah, we'll be looking at going back to the physical meetups and meeting up properly in the autumn, hopefully. All subject to due course and regulation, of course. If that means if you're on from further afield than London, you won't be able to come down to London, then don't worry, because we'll be bulking up the way that we stream the meetups when we go back to physical, because we've picked up a big new audience through being online, inevitably, because we get so many people who couldn't come to London, and we don't want to lose you guys and girls. So that's the meetup. Everything we discuss here, unless signposted otherwise, is shareable, so please do share and listen and learn. You can go onto our YouTube channel. There's the URL there, which has got an archive of pretty much every meetup that we've done since 2014. There's a good solid knowledge base there of stuff. And is actually up to date now. I had a few videos to upload on my laptop a couple of weeks ago, and they're all up there now. So up to and including the previous meetup that we had about a month ago. So we might not be physically co-located today, but there is still a code of conduct. So I'll just leave that on the screen just quickly for everyone to absorb. Okay, so as I said, we've been going since 2014 in this current incarnation. Here are 4 organisers of the meetup. Been a good team, been together since the start. We haven't fallen out to such an extent that we've had to change anything, which is good, right? So here we all are. So I'm the one in the middle, obviously, well, the middle left. But we've also got all the other organisers are on here as well. So if you all just want to say hello quickly, Mark, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming and not being outside in this hot weather. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. Jack, do you want to say hello?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you. And Dover, Alex, are you there?
Hello. Yeah. Welcome to London DevOps. London DevOps.
Oh, I've heard of you trying to hide. You recruiters trying to hijack things and London Dover Ops now. Is that what it is now? Is it? I see. I know your game, Dover. All right, thank you, everyone. So yeah, we're here. We are organisers. Unfortunately, a group of white males, which I'm very sad about. So please let me know if you think you can help us fix that. Also, let us know if you want to speak at a meetup later on. So obviously we have summer break coming up, so we'll be looking at September, October-ish to go next time. So if you've got a story to tell, if you want to speak at the meetup, yeah, stories are always good. Stories of DevOps transformations, stories of how you've used tools in new and interesting ways, anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. Also, if you want to sponsor, if you want to offer a venue, COVID obviously restrictions allowing, etc., then please do get in touch with us all, or one of us, any one of us, or all of us, whatever. We're cool. So there's the hashtag for tonight, hashtag London DevOps. If you've got something to say that you want to get out to the outside world, then stick it on there, please. Hashtag London DevOps. So in the physical world, when we do physical meetups, we need a decent amount of support from sponsors. So we've got a few sponsors behind us. It's obviously a bit easier in the virtual world because we don't have to organize venues and pizza and beer and soft drinks and all those sort of things, but we still couldn't do without our sponsors. So we just go around them quickly. Alex from Prism, did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. So I'm founder of Prism. We find homes for DevOps and cloud engineers, and can help you find a DevOps and cloud engineer if you're looking. So that's our niche. That's what we specialize in. We've been doing it since 2012.
Awesome. Thank you. So next sponsor is Adaptavist. That's the company that I work for. I'm the head of internal DevOps or something like that, similar, over at Adaptavist. Big company now, 450 odd people, doing traditionally lots of Atlassian work, so plugins and add-ons for Jira and Confluence and professional services around that, and also doing a lot more transformational work. So we're working on things like SAFe and other agile tools, and we've got some new partnerships with people like GitLab going on, which is proving really quite interesting. So yeah, any of that sort of stuff, then hit me up, as they say. Next, we've got WeShape, which is Jack's company. Jack, do you want to say hello and talk about WeShape?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Just a quick hello for us. So we're a DevOps and cloud native technology consultancy. I suppose our main focus is kind of organizational and technical advisory, squad implementation, SME consultants. We also do training and coaching as well. We work with customers like Boots, Volvo, 10x Banking. But yeah, we're also recruiting for both kind of contractors and permanent staff at the moment. So if you're a DevOps engineer and looking for something new, drop me a line. Love to talk to you. Cheers, Matt.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jack. some good names you got on your roster now. Congratulations. All right, and finally, no means but last but by no means least, Tyke, Tyke.io. Is there anyone on the call from Tyke? Don't think so. Oh, getting ready for the football. That's fine. So Tyke, API gateway type software that they produce. Go and have a look at them. They're doing some really interesting stuff. Tyke.io. And the final sponsor is O'Reilly, who furnish us with discounts for conferences and occasionally a big box of books, which generally turns up at Mark's house and we give away in the physical meetups. So can't wait for that to return, not least of which because my bookshelf needs some more on it. So today we're going to have Beitel from JFrog, who's going to talk to us about doing CI/CD with GitHub Actions and Azure Kubernetes, and doing it like a boss. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, Beitel will talk about that. So after that, we'll have so a little bit of a confession in that we didn't actually manage to assemble a panel that we would be proud of this time. So what we're going to try and do is have basically an open floor discussion around CI/CD, what people are doing on it these days. Things like, does the traditional Jenkins box sitting in the corner of the server room still exist, or has everyone moved over to like Bitbucket pipelines and GitHub Actions and all that sort of stuff? So you're very interested in hearing you. So everyone who's on the call who isn't a known speaker, talking about your experiences there, and maybe we can have a few debates about stuff. And then after that, we'll just do a bit of a quick roundup on where we've got to. It's been a challenging year for us, as it has for most people, I'm sure. If you're in London or in the UK, at least being in your home offices and not seeing people and working remotely, but we've managed to put together a few some very good meetups, especially since we decided to specialize around a particular topic each time. So yeah, we'll have a little bit of a review on where we are on all of that sort of stuff, and just wave everybody off for the summer. And hopefully everyone will come back in the autumn and we'll be in a much less lockdown world, and one that's a bit more normal, whatever that is. All right, so that's the end of the opening. Please let us know what you think. Any comments on the meetup, the structure, the format, the topics. If you want to speak, if you want to volunteer any other help, then please let us know by one of those routes there. So either through the meetup page or the Twitter hashtag, or you can @ us on that address as well, so @ London DevOps, or that bottom one I think is something old-fashioned called email, which still also works, org@londondevops.co.uk, which goes to all of us organisers. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing now and hand it over to Beitel from JFrog.
Right.
Are you there?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today. So thank you so much for inviting me today. All right, I hope you can see my screen.
We can see that. Looks great.
Awesome.
Yep. All yours, Beitel. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, so first of all, I would like to meet you a bit more. Let's talk a bit about GitHub Actions and Azure Kubernetes. Let's see some answer on the chat. Who already heard about GitHub Actions? Who played with GitHub Actions before? Who are having any CI/CD in GitHub Actions? I'll just open the chat to see your answer. I see here, Ahmed, what about your lovely garden? Yep, had a play, that's cool. Let's see some more people. Luis, Orvi, Marcus, what about you guys? Use it often, that's great, that's great. Not using real things yet. All right, maybe in the future. All right, that's really cool. So you already tried GitHub Actions a bit and you heard about it. And if I'll ask you about the cloud, are you using Azure, Google, AWS? Which one is the most common cloud here? Let's see. AWS. All right. Azure, that's cool. Oh, nice. So we have Azure and AWS. Nobody using Google? Come on, GCP. All right, here's some GCP. That's cool. All right, so I think we can start. Today, we're going to talk about how we can create a CI/CD pipeline with GitHub Actions and Azure Kubernetes very easily, and why we would like to use it. I actually really like GitHub Actions. And in this session, I'm going to show you why and how we can do that. And of course, feel free to stop me on the chat, just ask some question. I know it's not a real meetup, but I promise that I'll try to answer all of the question and stop if needed and just repeat. And really feel free to try to make it as personal as possible. I know we don't meet each other, face to face, but let's try to make some fun today and make it like you wanted. All right, so first a little bit about myself. My name is Batel Zohar and I'm a developer advocate in JFrog. Before that, I was part of the support team and the Hightail solution team. And way before, I was also a developer, an embedded developer in C and C++ in the Army. And as you can see in the picture, I have an amazing doggy named Benjo. And before 2 months, we just got another beautiful doggy named Sol. Here she is. Look how she is adorable. She's just 5 months. And if you want, you can easily hold me on Twitter and Facebook, email, whatever you want. I'm always happy to help. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or need something. I would really love to help. All right, so let's talk a bit about DevOps. And I guess that you already heard about DevOps and what is DevOps so many times. So I'll try to make it quick. I see that also in the introduction. And I love it. It was great definitions. But my definition is a bit different. So I think that DevOps is the term for the union of the development team and the IT operation team, like you said in the beginning. And they are using specific set of practices and toolchains, right? We try to create both teams to work together on kind of the same mission or the same challenges that they have. And actually, I think, it's kind of combination, right? We had 2 different teams in the beginning, and then we try to provide them to work together. And I think that, as you mentioned in the beginning, it's a kind of a culture change and a technology change, right? It's not just the culture and it's not just the technology. We try to make both of them together. And the goal, of course, is drastically decreasing the amount of time it takes to the team to deliver the software. So the result is more frequent software deployment, deploying bad updates less frequently, right? We want to make it as soon as possible with less mistakes and make sure that we can update super quickly our program and our application, basically. And I see. And also one more question that I wanted to ask. We have some developers here. We have more DevOps guys. Tell me, what is your current role on the chat? So I'll try to talk a bit about that too in our presentation. So let's see who is here. Okay, cool. So we have some SRE. Thank you, Pinar. Head of DevOps. That's really cool. All right, so let me also ask you a quick question. Why do you think the developers need to care about DevOps? Why developers care about it? Why they need to learn more about DevOps? I know that as a company, usually, we're trying to teach our developers too. Hey, Nivi. All right, so let's see what we have here. So they understand how their code works in production. You're totally correct. And make operations smoother, perhaps. Yeah, I'm agree for that too. I believe that for developers, DevOps may mean changing the way you write the software, right? Your code should be written in a way that it's modular, so it's easier to other people to maintain it. And whenever we'll use a small microservices, it's easier to find all the issues that we have if we have in the code, in our perfect code. And let's see what Pete said. So they don't get yeah, it could be annoying. All right. So I believe that you heard about CI/CD so many times. I promise that I'll try to make it as soon as possible and super quick. So for my opinion, CI/CD means continuous integration and continuous deployment, like I believe that most of you agree with me, which is a set of methods that enable application developers to deliver code changes more frequently to customers through the use of automation, right? We would like to try to automate everything, our plan, our code, our testing. We would like to make sure that everything that's getting into our production will be tested, and we will make sure that we have automation for any deployment and monitoring and everything we need in our environment. Now, let's talk a bit about GitHub. What is GitHub? So GitHub is a code hosting platform for version control and collaboration. It lets you and other people in your company or other people from all over the world work together on a project from anywhere. This is a tutorial. It's just for GitHub entries, and we would like to. It's also the largest code host in the world with 20 million users and more than 57 million repos, which is amazing. It's huge. All right, so GitHub Action. Some of you play with it a bit, and let's talk a bit about it, why we would like to use GitHub Action. So first of all, it's fully integrated with GitHub, and you can just easily click on it and try it. And I think it's really, really cool that everyone don't need to just install a new service or try to find a new agent. You can just click on it and try it. And it's respond to any GitHub event. And it's of course also community powered workflow and any platform, any language, any cloud. So in case that we would like to test our application on different environments, we can easily do that with a simple line in our code. And it's really easy to configure it today. And in my session, I'm going to show you how we can do that in like 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and we have a build that also uploading to our AKS, and it's going to be super cool. So I tried to collect 3 reasons why we should use GitHub Actions. Let's start. Reason number 1, it's easy, right? Just like it sounds, when using GitHub Actions, we can just click on the Actions tab, and we have example for a quick start that provide us almost any workflow that we will need. As you can see in the picture, we can try it with Azure and AWS, OpenShift, almost whatever it's need, we can easily find it, which is really nice. And let's talk a bit about reason number 2, YAMLs. I hope that most of you like YAMLs. In my last meetups, people said that they don't like YAMLs. I can't understand it. I'm sorry. I really love YAMLs. And I think it's really, really easy to configure it, and you can read it and understand YAMLs, you know, just from the code. You can, let's take, for example, where it's running. So it's pretty clear that it's running on Ubuntu latest version, or the exact commands that it's doing with the NPM. So I hope you like YAMLs too. You can answer on the chat if you like it or not. I'm sorry, I'm really big fan of YAMLs. And reason number 3, a rich marketplace to easily extend GitHub Action functionalities. So basically today we can easier just download new extension and add more capabilities to GitHub Actions. So for example, if I need a set of context, or I want to use our JFrog CLI, I can easily click on it, and with 2 lines, I just added the JFrog CLI. As you can see here, I'm just adding users and run and do it super quickly, super easily. So I can just add almost whatever I want. I took this screenshot before like 2 months, and there was 7,000 result. I believe that there is much more. And yeah, I see some people that love JSON, really? YAML is better, come on. All right, so there is everything that I mentioned, but I believe that there are much more ways and results why we should try GitHub Actions and why you should like it. And now let's talk a bit about AKS. So AKS offer easy deployment and management of containerized application. It's a free container service when nothing will be charged for Kubernetes cluster management, and you will have to pay only for the cloud resources like the VM and storage. So it's really easy to start it, just to create a quick trial and just play with it a bit. And again, I try to collect 3 reasons why we should use Azure Kubernetes Service. So the first one, it's really easy. Again, I'm sorry I said easy too much during this meetup, but I really believe it's so smoothly, and we can just remove the complexity of implementing, installing, maintaining, you know, everything which is not needed. And we can just do that in the portal or the CLI or PowerShell and stuff like that. You can just start it and play with it. And the reason number 2 is that AKS is easily integrated with Azure Active Directory, and it provides us a role-based access with security, monitoring, and everything that's related to the architecture. So if you already manage it, you know, in your Azure Active Directory, that changes pretty smoothly. And you can also monitor in the performance of our AKS, which is really nice too. And let's talk about reason number 3. So it's integrated with development tools such as Helm, Draft, AKS, like other cloud service provider. But it's also support, you know, with the image format. It's integrated with ACR, which is nice. They have kind of a container registry like we have in Artifactory, and we can create kind of a combination with both of them, and it provides us a private storage for Docker images. And so we'll touch about Artifactory 2 in a few minutes. And I hope that you know why it's so important to have a binary repository management. If you want to answer me on chat or just raise your hand or say something, I can unmute you guys. So just let me know and I would love to hear you. And again, there is all I said and much more than that. So I think we can just easily go to the demo and talk about it. And I hope you're gonna like it. So first of all, let's go to my GitHub and Azure Kubernetes. Oh, I didn't sign up. All right, so I created a really simple demo, nothing too important, but let's talk a bit about the file that I have here. So I have the Docker file. I'm just creating a simple Nginx image, nothing too complicated, but of course you can take that and just make it much more complicated. And I have the deployment information right here. So I'm just creating 3 replicas and stuff. And here I have my Nginx image. And let's talk a bit about the YAML and the action that I just created here. All right, so first of all, as I mentioned, we're running on a bootnode latest, and I can change it and add more runners that will run in different ways in different environments, which is pretty easy. And I have the CLI. I wanted to integrate my Artifactory with this build. And I'm sorry, I'm asking too many questions, but who heard about Artifactory? Who is having Artifactory or JFrog platform in his organization? Who is familiar with that? If not, I'll just explain a bit more. What is that? Oh, Pinar. Matt, what about you? And Jack? Okay, cool. So I see that some people used Artifactory. Here is another one. That's really cool. All right, so I'll just do that super quick. Artifactory is a binary repository manager, and it also can have your builds and your artifact, and we'll talk a bit about Artifactory in a second. I show you, but if you have any specific question, feel free to ask in the chat. So in order to upload my build to Artifactory, I'm not gonna answer that, but I think it's yes, it's a bit nicer. Sorry, I answered it. But yeah, it's nicer. All right, so in order to upload my artifacts and my build to Artifactory, I use this to JFrog CLI. As I mentioned in the presentation, we can easily extend it very quickly, right? So I just added the users, JFrog setup CLI. So basically just downloading the JFrog CLI. Then I created the environment variable for Artifactory. With my JFrog CLI, I created kind of tokens with import and export to be able to log into Artifactory with different environments. So I created it as a secret right here, and then I'm just logged into my Artifactory. Then I'm creating a build. I'm taking the Docker file that I showed you and creating a Docker image from it and upload directly to my Artifactory. You see here that it's Patelty, Docker JFrog.io, and I'm naming it. And then I'm pushing it to my Artifactory. So Docker push, my Artifactory server, my build name, and my build number. And this is actually the important part because I wanted to also have build info, and we'll talk about build info in a moment. And I have the BCE, which is the build publish, build collect environment. Sorry, it's basically collecting all the environment variable that we use as part of this build. And it's also super important to the build info to be able to track everything and see what we have in this server or agent that is running. And then I also upload it to AKS. So in few different lines in the YAML, which is super easy, I just added the uses of the AKS. I add the credentials to my AKS. Then I have my cluster name and my resource group. And then I'm deploying it very quickly to my AKS so I can easily use this Kubernetes. And here's my manifest, my image, and then I'm just running the BP, the publish build info. So first, let's start with Artifactory. Let's go to my Artifactory and let's run this build too to see how things are changing. So in order to run GitHub Action, it's super easy, it's super quickly. I'm just clicking on Actions here. Let's click again on the update and rerun the job. And let's talk a bit what we have here. I guess it's not a demo Jinx. All right, I'm fine. It's running. So here it's starting out. So as you can see, it's pretty clear. Let's see, it's set up the environment. Let's close everything and talk about it. So first of all, just set up everything that's related to the environment. It's finding the extension that we're adding here, the AKS.context and the JFrog CLI. Then it's just running the action. Again, it's pretty straightforward. Downloading the CLI and set it up. So first of all, we run it with version number 1.46. And then I just set up the CLI. Let's stop it, sorry. All right, so we set up the CLI. You can see that I was able to import the server successfully very easily. Yep, let's stop everything, cool. So then I'm running my Docker build, as I mentioned. So I see all the results here. It's pretty clear. Of course, it's updating live. So whenever it's running, you can see all the results. And here I collected all the environment variables of this build. And I have the AKS right here. I was able to log in and configure the environment. Then I'm running it. We'll go to this cluster 2 and make sure that it's actually running, but it looks good, right? It's annotated and it looks fine. Then I'm running it. I have the build info on my Artifactory server. And here it is. I cleaning everything and we're able to complete the job. So here I can see my URL to my Artifactory. Let's make sure that it's actually upload to my build info and everything is really running and I have all the information. So I can easily log into my Artifactory. Let's go here. Yeah. So here's my build. I have the model here, the Nginx demo latest. I see that I have the number of dependencies and artifacts, so I can click on it. And this is basically the build info. And let's talk a bit about the build info and why it's so important. Whenever you have a build, right, you're running a build every time, tons of times a day, and you would like to track if something changed or if what exactly changed and where, you can do it with the build info. And it's in few clicks, you can find so many issues, which is amazing. So here, for example, let's start with the basic. We have the publish modules. I can see everything that uploaded to my Artifactory as part of this build. So here you can see each layer of this Nginx image. Hey, Candy, what did you do there? Okay, cool. So yeah, this is a layer. If you just try to mark it down, it's one of the layers that we're using. And we can also see the dependencies right here. I can see the environment variables, which also super important. Think about, I don't know, you're running a build in different environments, like in Ubuntu, in different versions and so on. And things are just get messy, you know, when one of the server it's not working and you're not sure which OS are you running on this specific version. So we can easily tag the version and the server that it's running by IP or by anything that will help for you to get the right combination for your organization, and you can see where it's running, and it's very, very helpful to get information from the environment variable and from the JSON. We'll get to the JSON in a minute. We can also scan it on our X-ray, which is our kind of security vulnerability detection. So I can easily create policy and watches to make sure that I don't have any security vulnerabilities or licenses that I'm not enable in my company. So I can also add the X-ray information right here. I can see the diff, as I said in the beginning. If I have a few different builds that I want to create a diff between them, I can just easily do that here. I can select the build number and see what changed in every build. And I have the build info JSON. For all the JSON lovers that I saw here, we can easily create a JSON from the build that basically contains all the information on my build. So as you can see here, for example, the GitHub repository owner, it's me, it's Patel T. If I want, I can also share password. I can, of course, describe them. I can see the run ID. So whenever I need, you know, to investigate any problem or anything that's happening in my environment, I can easily do that with the build info JSON. I can also create some very complicated query, you know, like if I have a specific person that I would like to search or a specific group that's running this build and where and so on, I can just do that with an AQL very quickly, like, and also with REST API to get all the information very, very quickly. And also I can see the permissions, who can run this build, and which permission are available for each user, which is also cool. And now let's talk a bit about the AKS. Let's make sure that everything is running. So here I have the Batel AKS as we have in the YAML. Let's make sure that it's exactly the same. So we're going to the main YAML. Yes, so here we have Batel AKS and the resource group is new. Let's make sure that I didn't do any mistake. It's run, so I believe it will be just fine. Let's go to our terminal. Yeah, let's clear it. And again, if I'll get the deployments, let's just zoom it a bit. All right, my Nginx deployment is right here and it's running. And I think we're all good. It's cool. We can easily change it according to our needs in our organization and create different clusters and everything we need. And now let's move on to the next slide. Let's see what Ari just added here. So today's slides are posted. Video link will be soon, and you can easily rate my talk. I hope you're gonna like it. You can also enter the raffle. We have cool t-shirts like I'm wearing today. I hope you can see that. It's really cool, Super Frog that also contains Iron Man or something like that. So again, thank you very, very much for being here today. And I think we also have, if you have any questions, of course, I'm still here. Feel free to ask anything in the chat and I'll stay for the panel. So if you want to ask anything, we're here. And thank you very, very much for listening. I really appreciate you guys.
Brilliant. Thank you, Batel. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, excellent talk. And the demo, yes, the demo gods are smiling on us. That's always good when that happens. Yes, did anybody have questions you want to put to Batel at all?
Thanks, guys. And I see that Ari just said in the chat an Amazon Echo 8 show, which is cool. So we have also a raffle. So join it. Let's see who will win it.
Absolutely. I'm deliberately not going to enter just in case I win. That would be that would not be good, would it? So yes, please do go off and enter that. Okay. So no questions. That's good. Takes the pressure off a bit better, all right? no terrible awkward questions. So yeah, if everyone wants to just come off mute quickly and give Batel a round of applause. It doesn't work brilliantly over Zoom, but you kind of get the idea. So thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
There we go. Cool. All right. So so let's move on. So yeah, brilliant presentation, Batel. Thank you very much. So yeah, we were going to have a bit of a panel session, but yeah, that didn't quite come together properly in the end. So I was hoping to throw some questions out to the floor and just encourage a bit more of an open discussion. This is something that we've done in the past a few times in the physical meetups. We haven't really tried it on the virtual ones, so I'm not quite sure how well it will work. But what I would encourage you to do is to put your cameras on, if you're happy to do that. Put your cameras on, open up your mic and contribute. Put your hand up if you want to do that, or just start talking, and I'll worry about anybody talking over each other. And yeah, I just wanted to have a brief conversation about CI and CD. Does anybody have an interesting story they want to tell us about using CI or CD? Is there some war stories that maybe we want to go into? If so, then either let me know in the chat or just come off and start talking about it. If not, then actually I'll just pause there to see if anyone wants to come up and talk about it. So well and good me speaking.
We have to hear a crazy story. Come on, guys. I need a crazy story for today.
Yeah, come on, put your thinking caps on. We want at least one crazy story before we finish off the meetup.
Yes, please.
In a little while. Otherwise, it's not worth it. It's yeah. While we were here, it's terrible. All right. So okay. So no crazy stories. That's fine. Let's go around the room a little bit and ask. You know, is everyone here using CI/CD? Does anybody want to talk about why they're not, or anything that they're worried about before starting to use CI tools or CD? Oh, I'm going to have to do a much better job at warming this audience up, aren't I? All right, I'm going to
All
go
right,
to.
let me try it. I'll try too. All right, so I see here David, Gary, Faith, and Pinar, and Ahmed was also logged in. So guys, please let us know which CI/CD you are using today, and if you are using anyone. And please, we really want to hear you guys.
Can you remember, Mark? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
What do we use at Woomi? So me and Mark have known each other since
Oh.
about 2009 when
Yeah.
we first met, doing a social dating startup. Yeah. And yeah, that was a brilliant, well, not a brilliant company to work for, but some brilliant people. You probably heard me and Mark waxing lyrical about the great working environment we had there under a guy called Nick Ferrier. And I'm trying to remember what we used then, and whether that is still, are people still doing it in the same way? Can you remember, Mark, what we used?
Yeah, you would be shocked, but we were using Jenkins.
Jenkins, yes, we were.
And we were using, if I remember correctly, Chef to do the deployments.
Oh, wow, impressive. That you used Chef before 9 years, something like that. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty early on, wasn't it? It was right in the very beginning when configuration as code and this agile sysadmin thing was starting to morph into DevOps. I think Jenkins is possibly the first CI system that I would guess a large number of people here have used. Is that true? Is that representative? What do we think, folks? We're not getting many bites here. Go on, Katie, you're unmuted.
Hi guys, sorry, I just joined a few minutes ago. So I work for a company called Proximy, which is like a startup. Joined them last year, and we actually use GitHub Actions.
Wow.
So that was my first introduction to GitHub Actions. I'd never heard of it until joining that company. I'd worked with Jenkins in the past, but I love GitHub Actions. I would definitely recommend it to DevOps teams. I just like the fact that if your code sits in GitHub, it's just so much easier to just have your tool. Sorry, I've got my son in the background. So
all good.
Noisy. Yeah, I just like the fact that you've got your code sitting in GitHub, and just the tools possible with just to have your CI platform in your Git repository. I think it's very convenient, and obviously I think GitHub Actions is quite powerful. So we actually use it both for CI and we also use it for CD. And there's a lot of open source tools out there as well in terms of different GitHub Actions that you can just use. You can even write your own as well. So it's quite flexible, to be honest. And I probably missed your presentation, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I love GitHub Actions. I would recommend teams to move it. The only thing I'm not sure about with regards to GitHub Actions is if there was some element of programmability with it. So for example, if you wanted to do things like loop through an array or something like that. So like there was a time when I was trying to do some work in terms of some multi-region setup, and it would just be nice to be able to provide like almost like a list to the action to deploy or to run something across a list. So if there was, it would be nice if they add that to GitHub Actions. I don't know if it does something like that.
Yeah, you mean like a list of different OS system or something like that, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Yeah, sure. I just want to make sure that I understand the question. You want to create kind of a list or of OS?
Yeah, so I think the scenario I had at the time was because, like I did say, we use sometimes we use GitHub Actions for deployments, so for CD, and sorry, and it would be nice to challenge of working from home. All right, so sometimes you say you wanted to run an action against multiple regions, because we've got this concept of different deployments across multiple regions, and you just have to duplicate that list. It would be nice to be able to have a list or define like an array or Do you know what I mean? And then run that deployment across that array, something like that. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. It probably doesn't.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and I think it's possible. But if you want to try that, feel free just to reach me out. I'll find some friends in GitHub, and we can figure it out. I think it's possible. I created something similar with different environments, and also with a kind of a personal agent that I run of GitHub Actions. So I think it's possible.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Cody. And yeah, no problem with the noise. I think we're all used to having interruptions from other family members who are more opinionated than we are. There's some interesting points there. In that I'd forgotten actually that there's a whole marketplace behind Actions now, you know, it's taken off to such a degree since GitHub introduced it that I guess there's, you know, serious business models being put behind writing plugins, sorry, not plugins, but, you know, actual apps for GitHub Actions. And I guess that's one of the significant things that's made it take off. And why people love it so much. I guess you can find the bits of code. You don't necessarily have to write the code, even if it is just Beetle's favorite YAML. You don't actually have to write it to such a degree, because these are solved problems that people have already solved for you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Anybody got any more thoughts on that? No, of course not. I'm not going to tempt Cody off of mute again either, am I? But that's fine. That's fine. So yeah, is anybody wary of using GitHub Actions? I mean, I have, or I don't know if they're warranted, but the things I would be thinking of are things like, is it going to cost too much, and is it private enough? Are there compliance problems with it? Has anybody investigated it and maybe turned it down, or thought, well, we'll maybe not look at it right now, but maybe go on to it at a later date?
Well, GitHub Actions are just repackaged Azure DevOps, right? So most of it is fine. You also don't pay if you do the self-hosted agents, right? So
there you go.
Yeah, also camera.
It's great to hear your voice and see you, Mr. Maxwell, one of our very oldest.
It's been a long time, Mr.
Subscribers.
Saunders.
It's been a long time. Again, me and Marcus worked together a very long time ago in a galaxy far, far
many
away.
months ago.
Actually, I'll give you a shout out now. Marcus Maxwell writes a weekly newsletter called the Mindful Newsletter, full of brilliant stuff. So yeah, subscribe to that. What's the link, Marcus?
I'll put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. Yeah, put it in the chat. Marcus has also been spoke at London DevSecOps gathering. Was it last week? The week before?
Yeah, 2 weeks or so ago.
So
if anyone wants to learn all about security.
There you go. So, well, everyone here already knows all about security because we did a DevSecOps meetup with Glenn and Michael a couple of months ago. So yeah, it's really, really great to see the groups kind of merging together a little, no, not merging, but working together and cooperating and going from there. So yeah, it's a security element to doing your CI and doing all your builds in a public service.
Yeah, so but if you use their hosted agents, obviously you worry about that, and they don't certify it to PCI, so that's a given, right? But that's the common problem Circle CI and everyone else has. Like if you work with enterprises, you will use self-hosted agents, which work fine. But because it's like all .NET focused, you have to have like .NET, and that will stack when you spin out those agents. So it is relatively good. There are still gotchas with like using the marketplace. I think that's where a primary worry is, because you cannot self-host actions right now, right? So I cannot grab the checkout action, host it in my own GitHub, and that doesn't work. So, but hopefully Microsoft comes up with something there. They've been, I think, pretty open that like Azure DevOps is being replaced by GitHub Actions. So that's going to be a major one.
So Azure DevOps, I guess a large part of that is, or using it effectively, is kind of integration with things like VS Code and kind of that level of integration. Is that a common route that people are taking? not just
I
addressed to
think
you,
that
Marcus,
that's
anyone else
like
wants to talk about it.
I think that whole story will end up where it's the hosted Visual Studio Code now is like code. It's like OpenShift has had the code ready workspaces, and I think that's where GitHub is going. Like almost everyone is going with like workspaces and hosted IDEs in the cloud. I'm just like waiting for JetBrains to get into that space too, right? So that's kind of a common pattern. But yeah, like GitHub Actions, Azure DevOps, they're all Buildkite is my kind of like the one that I like. They are all nice because they reach out to the SaaS service, right? Where with Jenkins, like if you deploy Jenkins, that main node has to go into every account. And that's always a worry because now if you compromise your central node, you can go into all the spokes. So that's something we recently were going over. That was a fun security challenge.
Can volunteer our journey, sort of mirroring some of what Marcus just said. So I work for a company called Redgate, and most of our stuff traditionally was back on TeamCity, all on our own sort of on-prem infrastructure.
Memories.
Yeah, and there's still quite a lot on it. We used most of our software used to be kind of desktop software. We started moving to Azure DevOps as we started doing more, either more web stuff or more recently, more cloud native stuff. And then we've started shifting from Azure DevOps to GitHub Actions, partly because, yeah, I agree, that seems to be the way the wind is blowing with Microsoft, that GitHub Actions will become the dominant one. So yeah, and so far that shift's working well for us. To begin with, it was kind of like the technology sort of impedance match to what we were deploying or building. But actually, as we've gone on, just finding the freedom to scale that up when we need to, without having to worry about kind of like the on-prem infrastructure that we're taking care of ourselves. That's been sort of probably the bigger win for us.
Very cool.
Yeah, that sounds cool. David, apologies. You sent us an email a couple of days ago and I haven't yet responded to it.
No worries. We'll chase it later.
So you're David, representing Redgate, working with the tool called Spawn, if I remember correctly, all around automating, doing databases. One of the things that the old boss of me and Marcus and probably some other people here, Ben Wooten, one of the most seminal things that he did in Contino was propagating the idea that one of the massive keys to unlocking agility in a company is having the ability to spin up environments quickly and rapidly. And I'm hearing two things here, which is number one, that the need for those things to actually exist in physical terms or on your own EC2 instances or whatever is being massively replaced by SaaS software. And number two, the databases that go along with these things is an unsolved problem. Maybe GitHub Actions can help us out with all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think like people building like that part of consultancy where you keep building out CI systems is just not worth it, right? It's like when we gonna plug Mark's the HashiCorp Packer announcement, right? Like AMIs are gonna be now a given, right, with the new Packer release. So a lot of that left side is now so many event, like so much patterns have been now established that there's no value in it, right? It's you use SaaS because why wouldn't you run it yourself, right? So same kind of like with JFrog, right? Where you see more and more customers moving to the SaaS version of JFrog because why would you run it yourself, right? Like unless if your security approves it, it's a managed service. So
yeah, I'm definitely agree. Whenever you have managed service that is running in the cloud, it's much easier, but the whole process to approve it could be a bit annoying.
I think companies are starting to get over this belief that just because they're doing something internally that it's secure and proper.
Yeah.
I think one of the big moments in the recent past was when I can't remember if it was the whole of AWS, but they were basically signed off as ISO compliant, PCI DSS compliant, etc. And being able to get those sort of certifications and those sort of justifications are almost second nature now to a SaaS business who wants to do anything significant. in the world, and yeah, it's a change, probably quite a disruptive one for people who are used to keeping all this stuff in house. But yeah, it's essentially the way the world's going, right?
I think that. Sorry, I think that's the certification is a good point, because once your security team can see that someone else has already done the security assessment work, and somebody just goes, "Where's my certificate?" There it is. The security team don't have to do any more diligence other than make sure the certificate is actually real. So all their work and their obstacles of the pile of work that they would otherwise have to do to certify someone else's service is done. So the major blocker is gone from a lot of companies, and certainly financial institutions are looking at those and have moved to things like Azure DevOps, because the security team went, yeah, it's certified, we can move on, fine.
Yep. It's also like the volley. There's no taking a very different. I enjoy it going into security space, but Azure AD gives you all the conditional access, and like we saw, because of all the people working remote, is that just being on the VPN is not a good control, and a lot of people invested in all the zero trust stuff, right? And like, because you can put a CASB, you can put all the nonsense in front of all those services for those extra paranoid security teams, right? And you can verify the device posture, you can verify where they're coming from, and like it makes adopting all those services a lot easier. So
I think the platforms have matured to a point where they support those natively as well, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting work going on in integrations between these things. Yeah, they've got common platforms, and yeah, if you're coming along to buying a new SaaS product and you're plugging it into your authentication system, just the way you did the previous one, and yeah, same tick, 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 off you go. It's a very interesting world we're living in.
Yeah, I would say, just to be a bit controversial, that the new Battlefront, in my opinion, CI has been solved fairly well. At this point, it's very mature. For me, the new Battlefront is a continuous deployment. I don't think it's at the same mature level as continuous integration. And there's a lot of, I would say, good ideas there, but nothing as mature as, let's say, a JFrog, for example.
Yes. An interesting point, because yeah, we talk about CI. Well, we talk about CI/CD, don't we? Everyone says CI/CD, and you then have a conversation about Jenkins or GitHub Actions or TeamCity, or Bitbucket, but hang on, yeah, we missed out the other half of that. So yeah, I mean, I see, for example, within Adaptavist, some pretty mature CI stuff going on across a variety of products. We're an Atlassian partner and have been for 14 years. Therefore, there's inevitably a load of Bamboo and Bitbucket, but also some Amazon code deploy, code commit stuff, some GitLab coming on, where we're exploiting the fact that some of the problems that you have with these older pieces of software are now solved in other pieces of software that you can get. But then again, still, like deployments, how's that happening? Some cobbled together CDK or some CloudFormation, or some scripts that go and do some Docker logins and do some things. And yeah, it feels like if we're looking at CD, call it continuous delivery or continuous deployment, maybe that's the next world that's ripe for innovation.
I personally blame Kubernetes, and I blame GitOps. We had this solved, and then Kubernetes came around, and then they made GitOps, because deploying to Kubernetes is a nightmare. And then now we have this whole thing. It is a good pattern. It's good always to see innovation in the market, but yeah, it's not. Now we're waiting for tools like Argo and Flux and everything else to mature, right? So, but we'll see where we get. A new brave world.
Yeah, and the thing with Argo and Flux is that they are very Kubernetes centric yet.
Yeah.
Right. If you live in a world that not everything is Kubernetes, then you're in a bit of a trouble, because then you start fragmenting your deployments, and then you're back again to that problem.
Yeah. Hey, that's why we were having Waypoint, right? Right, Mark?
Yeah, once it's mature enough, I hope.
One day, one day.
Which is a whole Otter paradigm for deployments, right? So
Yeah, it's an interesting point because yeah, there's almost an assumption in some quarters that people are deploying to Kubernetes, and we've seen an excellent demonstration Patel did that deploys Nginx off and an app off to AKS, which equally were EKS, GKE, etc. Is that a safe assumption that everyone's going to be using Kubernetes for things? It's not safe in my world. Half the people on one side of the room are saying, yeah, Kubernetes, containers, orchestration, etc. The other half are talking about lambdas.
yeah, I think bringing the IDE to the browser and all the WASM stuff, I think it will reinvigorate the whole service thing, and like particularly Rust in the browser will make it super performant. And I think that because like serverless didn't really have a problem with frameworks and anything else. JavaScript provided that plenty. The problem always was testing, right? You can't test it locally, and that's where like all fell over. So, but we'll see. Like that's the same battle I see. Like, but like because there was a golden age of serverless kind of for a long time, but now it's like it's hard to, because you also see this weird mix where it's like Fargate now supports containers, not just like serverless, and you're like, my brain. So yeah, there's not a clean delineation anymore.
Yeah, it's all just getting more complicated, isn't it? So,
Yeah,
although it seems to be on the cutting edge.
My end. Sorry, Maxwell, but it's still always working in the development hardware, right? It's always working in its local end and everything working as expected. But you will find a solution to make it generic. There is so many open source tools today that help you to check it, and even for delivery, I think we have some. So we will find a pattern for that, for this specific way that we would like to deliver the software. So for example, even one of our tool in JFrog, I think that you heard about it or not, as part of the platform, we have the distribution, which help you to create a release bundle that contains build or artifact or both of them, and deliver it to the edge nodes, which are kind of a small read-only artifactories. And then you can easily deliver it for different edge, and you can create your different version. And the idea, of course, is to deliver everything automatically after you created a new version, and then you can update very quickly. And I believe that there is some other tools also in the market that can do that. But if you want to hear more about distribution, feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to show you how it's working. I think you're gonna like it. You're already using Artifactory, so it could be pretty smoothly.
Yep.
Distribution sounds great. I mean, anything that helps get code built, compiled, whatever, shipped quickly. And I say that from a DevOps perspective. It's like the quicker we can iterate on these things and get them out there. And yes, your tool. Similarly, Mark. So Mark works for HashiCorp. So talking about Waypoint. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. These sort of tools coming on that get us further to the, closer to that kind of actual delivery part of the CI/CD. It's got to be good, right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting, for that microkernel revolution or unikernel revolution that didn't happen.
Anytime now.
Wait, anytime they will come on the edge, on Cloudflare workers or somewhere.
I think it will come at the same time of the year of the Linux desktop.
Or is it Firecracker?
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't expect booze for that. There we go. All right. Okay. So how are we getting on? That's been an interesting discussion. Like I said, I didn't really know where it would go. So anybody got any more thoughts you want to add to the debate before we move on? No. Cool. Everyone getting dinner before the football starts in 48 minutes, right? All right, brilliant. So we've had a good debate there. I was going to do a little bit of a roundup of the past year. Just quickly, I'll just go over to a different share here, just to go through what we've what we've achieved over the last year. I've been trying to do this more in my work life and personal life as well, and I think this can be no exception here, given that we've been cooped up for 18 months or so in some sort of semi-real wonderland, which isn't quite the real world, but yet might be the new real world. So I think it's just worth just highlighting the fact that we've had some good meetups this year. Since we came back to school in September, we started with this brilliant talk from Justin Garrison, which you can find up on YouTube. So if you've not seen this, then I advise you to do that. This is one of the first meetups that we did where we kind of themed the meetup, and this one was around kind of hyperscaling. So you have you're working for a business which has massive plans. I've been in a couple of them where they're like, yeah, we're going to have every person on the planet is going to start using our app like 3 days later. And well, in Justin's case, he talked very eloquently and animatedly about getting Disney Plus going. So we had this talk very soon after it had launched in the UK, and almost a year later, I think we can all agree that it's part of the furniture now. It's a massive thing, and so I encourage you to go and look up the recording of that to see how Justin did that, or Justin and team at Disney, to get that going. So yeah, fantastic meetup we had there. We then moved on to talking about a bit more of a culture talk from Max at Zopa, who talks about emotionally intelligent teams and the need to, and this is more massive than ever before, the human aspect of getting teams working together, especially when they're remote, like everyone is, and how the world has changed. And so again, yeah, another great talk that we had around probably our least technical meetup we had in a long time, and that was no bad thing. So yeah, we had that one back in October, so please do go and look that one up on YouTube if you're interested. And then Marco, I think you're here tonight, aren't you, from the Scale Factory? I saw him earlier. Maybe he's gone off to get ready for the football.
Oh, there you go.
I'm here.
He's here.
Oh, he's here. Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, Marco talked about privileged containers. So again, a fairly technical talk. Again, go off and have a look and see that video if you want to. I'm talking about pod security policies, which I think are out of date now. I think they're deprecating them now, but that's not the point. The point is there's some brilliant theoretical stuff in how to make containers secure. And as we see, almost 6 to 9 months later, containers are even more embedded into the way that we do things than they ever were. And some of the initiatives that Marco talks about are a big contributory factor to that. So the next one was Chris Beitat, so DevOps Royalty. We're very lucky to have a few excellent speakers who we didn't ordinarily have access to in the physical world coming to London. So notably, we had Justin Garrison talking from Disney Plus, also John Willis about a year ago. So in very soon after we went online, Seth Vargo as well did an excellent talk, and also we had Chris Beitat. So some very big heavy hitters from around the world in the DevOps movement. So we did a great AMA on that. That video is not actually up at the moment, but I'm going to try and get it up in the next few weeks. So that was a great Ask Me Anything session we had with Chris. Then we had a Google specific one. So we talked a lot tonight about Azure Kubernetes service. People, when Beto did the poll, people were using AWS, mostly Azure, not much GCP. If you're interested in using GCP, then again, go and look that one up. Phil does a great introduction. And then Natalie spoke on how to not do it quite right and how to get it wrong, but with the aim of teaching you how to get it right. 59 was about on-call, something that we often push to the sidelines somewhat with all the great technology and cultural work that we've been doing. But yeah, on-call is still a massive thing. Mandy from PagerDuty did a great talk on what that looks like in 2021. I still remember my first wake-up call in my very first job, an ISP called EasyNet. in 1997, a very, very long time ago, with his Hutchinson Telecom pages that we had. The world has moved on significantly since then. There are much better ways of doing these things. And Mandy talked very nicely about some of those. Then number 60, DevSecOps. So yeah, Glenn was talking about focusing on DevSecOps. We have a lot of people are a bit cynical about DevSecOps. They're like, well, if we've got DevOps, why do we need DevSecOps? Why don't we have DevSecBiz, Ops, DevSecNet, Biz, etc. Blah blah blah. And Glenn went into a lot of excellent detail around why we should be thinking about shifting stuff left when we're developing and operating services, especially if you're doing new things. So highly recommend you look that up. So Glenn also one of the organisers of the DevSecOps London Gathering. Go also and have a look at Marcus's talk that he gave last week at that meetup as well, because that was excellent as well. I wasn't able to attend, but I saw the recording. And then finally, last month we had Sal from Reliably talking about SRE. So we talked about SLOs, SLIs, error budgets, lots of good stuff there. And then bang up to date, CI and CD this month. So yeah, that's a whistle-stop tour of what we've done in the last year or so. Thank you if you've attended all of those talks. If you haven't, then please feel free to go off and look at the recordings of them. I just wanted to wrap up and say that we've been very lucky to have some brilliant speakers, done some great themed meetups. DevOps can mean a lot of different things. There's not a single one of these meetups that passes without at least 2 definitions of DevOps coming up, including the one that I do. And that's one of the beauties and one of the curses of the whole thing. I think through theming our meetups for the last month or so, sorry, for the last year or so, we've managed to make sure that we cover how much of an extensive space it is, and how many different aspects there are, and why it's like a multi-million-dollar industry now these days. So yeah, there we go. That's the last year or so of London DevOps. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then great, thank you. If you haven't, then let us know what you can do better. Final words from Ari. So Ari's just shouted out the raffle. Was there anything more to say on the JFrog raffle there, Ari?
There's always stuff to say about the JFrog raffles. Actually, one thing that everyone that enters the raffle will also have a chance to win one of 10 T-shirts as well. So looking at the odds, most people will be getting at least a T-shirt that we have here right now, and one person will be lucky to get the Amazon Echo Show. It's not the I used to give away the 5-inch screen, but I've expanded to the 8-inch screen. This is the one my kids treat like a television, so it's a lot of fun. So definitely one to enjoy. One other link I dropped in there as well is, I know that obviously I really enjoyed the last 2 meetups I got to come to, and really enjoy your community. I'm really going to be sorry when it's offline, so I'll have to come in person. But one of the things that we do have, and it sounds like we have some really great and experienced practitioners here in the DevOps space, is that Batel herself is actually going to be doing a hands-on instructional on June 17th at 11 a.m. Central European time. I dropped that link in there as well. It's free, along with the free version of our software. No credit card or anything else is needed for that. It's just, honestly, we really wanted this to be community friendly when that was all put together. So you're welcome. Everyone here is welcome to attend that as well. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, and thank you. Just love the format, and Matt, you're a great MC. I'm not sure if anyone's told you that, but you've got a gift, and I think you should continue to use it wisely, though. Okay.
You're too kind, Ari. You're too kind. Thank you. Couldn't have done it with all you lot. Without all you lot. Brilliant. So Batel's doing workshops. So that's on this Thursday. Yeah. Try and clear my calendar to get to that. Yeah, on the raffle, don't forget. So the numbers have dropped off since Batel finished speaking. Hopefully not, because I was speaking a lot.
Gotcha. And actually, the way the drawing works, I should probably
But-
tell you that too. I forgot, is because of corporate compliance. You know, we are a public company now. It is a random drawing, and I have to contact the person by email I select somebody within 2 business days, send them an email to make sure they accept the prize, so I can announce the winner publicly. So I wish I could do it live today. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew that there will be a winner. And then once we can announce the winner, the whole community will know. I'll drop it off on the meetup page.
Brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, so some people have dropped off. There's also 4 of us who are organisers here, so that narrows. So that's massively increasing your odds of winning, if you're not one of the people who can't really enter. So yes, go for it. All right. So thank you, Ari. So yeah, I think we're wrapping up. Got half an hour to prepare for the football. Get some food inside me, and everyone else as well. I just want to say massive thank you to Bertel for excellent talk and demonstration. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, guys.
I want to thank everybody who's spoken at London DevOps or been on a panel or contributed, especially to tonight, where we've just done it just straight off the cuff. Ultimately, is what happened there, and that wouldn't have worked without brilliant contributions from everyone who spoke tonight. So thank you so much for that, and to everybody who's contributed at any one of the meetups we've done in the last year or so. Thank you, Alex Dover, Mark Cluett, Jack Moore. Ari, you said some very kind words about my emceeing. Thank you, but I am just the public, not particularly pretty face of the meetup. Those guys do so much work in the background to make it work. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to all of you for coming along and supporting the group. And yeah, continue to turn out even on Sunday nights where we could equally just be out there out in the sun. So thank you to everyone for attending. So yeah, so we'll go on. I think in the US they call it a brief hiatus for a couple of months. When are we back? So we will be back starting to organise towards the end of August. We'll be coming back and starting to look at when we can organise, and depending on how that works out, we may have to contend with, do we actually go back to physical venues in the autumn? It's a possibility, don't really know, but we'll probably have a meetup in probably the second or third weeks of either September or October. Hopefully September, if we're not too sunburnt. If not, then we'll be back in October. Recordings, if you go onto YouTube and type London DevOps into YouTube, you'll find our channel. Thank you, Mark. That's that. Not sure what the was in response to, Pip, but hopefully you're all right. Haven't just stubbed your toe or anything. I think that's everything now. Oh, physical meetups. Yeah. Well, the other thing is, even if we're allowed to do physical meetups, will people want to? The jury's out on that one. So suffice to say, if we do go physical, then we will be having proper, decent recording equipment and streaming on Zoom or on YouTube, so that if you're not able or don't want to come to the physical meetup, which is entirely reasonable, we should all be making the right choices that are right for us, then you won't miss out. We get the same experience on Zoom as we do physically. So there we go. All right, so that's it. Have a brilliant summer, everyone. Hope you managed to get out there and enjoy it somewhat. Go off and play with some GitHub pipelines, GitHub Actions, deploy some stuff to Azure, make Bertel and Ari very, very happy. That's it. I'll stop waffling now. Anybody else want to say anything to close before we?
Yeah, just mainly thank everyone for coming, and yeah, see you at the other side of the summer.
Bye, everyone.
Guys.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Thanks, everyone. Cheers now.
Yeah.
Good night.
See you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.